everybody. This is Dr. David P. Perrodin, and welcome to the Week 2 Fireside Chat for Educational Leadership, 655 People Services, and Non-Discrimination with Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Week 2 begins on Monday, January 29th, and concludes on Sunday, February 4th, 2024. A terrific start to class. Thank you to everybody for making your post. Respond to your discussion question threads. We have 2 of those. Make sure you do that every Thursday. In addition, you need to make 4 substantive posts. 4, not 8, just 4. I'll let you know if you're not making your post. Your learning teams are announced. So go in and start communicating with your learning teams and put together a plan for Bruce. I know that some of you work for CISAs and other administrative positions within your district. So just figure out a way that it makes sense for you. Maybe you're called into a district to lend guidance on how to put this plan together for Bruce and his allergy needs. Very flexible with that assignment. Questions and reflection from week 1. Thank you for sharing your experiences with outside agencies. Outside agencies providing mental health and counseling services in schools is growing, and it promotes services in the least restrictive environment. These service models also require us to be aware of supplanting of services. Some of you discovered student or parent handbooks to have readability levels well into the college level. That is relatively easy and overlooked as an area to improve upon. And also check for understanding from your students and from your parents. I would note that in a Board of Education report, also on your Pupil Services 5-year non-discrimination report. Shout outs! Rob wrote about his district's website. It has a drop-down box feature, so viewers can see it translated into 130 language options. Unfortunately, Dari and Farsi weren't options. He indicated there's a growing Afghanistan population in the district. So what would you do? You would contact whoever provides that website service and ask them when these updates might be available. But it's pretty awesome that we already have 130 options. Now, of course, that isn't a pure translation, but with AI and machine learning, that stuff gets better every day. Tasha wrote about seeing her students not just inside of the school, but outside. What are they not saying, but thinking? Her statement reminds me of statements from successful coaches who reflected on pivotal points in their careers, noting that although they might have been excellent at teaching technique, they truly didn't connect with their players and achieve higher levels of success as a team until they focused holistically on the players. For example, the players' hardships, acclimating to a new city, making meaningful friends, or embracing their non-sport interest. Tasha's posts also reminded me of a situation I encountered 25 years ago. A student was online in class searching used car part websites. The teacher was upset, felt the student wasn't being attentive. And while we dug into it, upon further inquiry, the student was actually trying to find a used car battery for his mom's car because in winter the car wasn't starting. And once that was discovered, the teacher worked actually with the driver's ed instructor, and they located a battery that was on sale and facilitated getting this battery for the student. I actually think they put it in the mother's car. But it's one of those things, Tasha reminds us to really look beyond what is right in front of us. Audrey explored the John Muir Middle School's website and shared the link for the school-based counseling form. Kudos to the school for easy access to that referral link. I gave it a try myself to see how easy it was for me to find it, and it was right there. So it was also surrounded with very easy to grasp context and purpose and resources. So nice job. I also like that there was an option for people to connect directly with the school counselors. So that's a really good example of how to make it so it's not a scavenger hunt to locate your pupil services resources. Something else coming out of that. Sometimes websites, they go overboard. They have a referral form for bullying, harassment, counseling services, and the form itself turns into this investigation, this whole interview process where you're answering 50 questions, right? The form should just be the easement to the resources. It's not gathering all of this information. So that can be a passive form of discrimination. If you have a bullying form that you require be submitted for bullying to be investigated, and the form takes you an hour to complete, well, right, that's passive discrimination. Erin wrote about advisory groups in her school and noted that our elementary principal attends all meetings along with varied staff members and many parents. There is an agenda shared before each meeting and an update after. Awesome. I want to amplify those keen observations. First, the school principal or someone from administration should be present at these meetings for the purpose of conveying support, to be firsthand informed, to respond to technical questions such as budget, communications, and to ensure that equity is a pillar of the organization's initiatives. Providing an agenda and then following up with minutes underscores transparency. I recall working in a district where the parent-teacher organization, the officers maintained agendas and minutes strictly within the organization. In fact, they utilized passwords, and it was a challenge for the principal to fully grasp the scope of the group's activities because only a couple people truly had access to that. Rachel wrote about staff beliefs and that it saddens me that learners and parents expect the school to give up on them. It's a very insightful post, very, very thought-provoking. It's a good point to make. Students, families, staff, administrators struggle. We all struggle. We all do at some point. But those struggles are laminated to context and situation. A key is to never close a door, but to return and engage with people down the road. So that's the important part. It might not be working right now, whatever's going on, but then come back to it, right? And that's just not with a student or a parent, but it's also with a teacher and administration. Everything's laminated to context and times. It's just sometimes it's not working out. And if you just dismiss it at that point and you never come back to it, oh my goodness, you lose out on incredible opportunities. Thanks to everybody for analyzing your district special education population numbers and becoming familiar with the special education and 504 numbers in your district and observing for trends. You know, what I was reading from your post, OHI is a notable disability area. It's increasing. It's tending to be an avenue for services for students with mental health needs, depression, and long COVID symptoms. Speech language numbers seem to also be increasing. I would expect that will continue. The mask wearing during the pandemic and also the lack of exposure with other same age peer students for typical age developing speech, that's going to manifest in students, especially articulation, sounds such as P's and B's and M's, which are very much in the front of the mouth and very, very visual. OHI might have a big impact on how you do staffing. Do we have more school counselors because we have more students identified with mental health needs? It'll be also relevant for collaborating with outside services. Best interest of the child. So this is in your book, School of Errors, Rethinking School Safety in America. Some of you wrote about the quandary of acting in the best interest of a student and the impact that might have on other students. So check out pages 134 and 135 in School of Errors. There's no clear legal definition of best interest of the child, but it's something educators are expected to do on a case-by-case basis. Best interest is dependent upon professional discretion. Bagley and Stefkovich also agree that there's no consistent definition of best interest of the child. A content analysis of over 60 law review articles using this term, best interest of the student, or variation of it, for example, best interest of students, best interest of children, revealed no common theme and no shared use. So best interest is always subjective, distilled from individual experiences, biases, perceptions of situations, and dynamic context. You are now working with your learning team to assemble your plan for Bruce. So you might have a rock star allergy plan, but think who's afforded professional discretion to administer the EpiPen. So just keep thinking about that as you're going through. And also our pupil services component, working with your librarians on books such as the Peanut Free Cafe, and Aaron takes his allergies to schools and so forth. So looking at that model of pupil services and non-discrimination for Bruce. Looking ahead to week 2, we arrive at the intersection of disability and discrimination. We will consider students with allergies and non-discrimination practices. We will also become aware of the DPI's resources for safe schools for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender students. What are your Board of Education policies and school practices to promote awareness and to mitigate discrimination in these areas? We will explore well-intentioned decisions for students with disabilities that are actually passive discrimination. Example would be an IEP team exempting a student with a disability from participating in safety drills due to the trauma the drill might bring to the student. In other words, are some of our students' safety practices exclusive by design? And special education and pupil services are largely the result of the extent taken. In other words, simply giving teachers access to, here's the IEP at a glance, is far different than having a face-to-face discussion about the student and having that teacher be able to ask clarifying questions. This is especially noteworthy as we are now entering an era of, again, long COVID symptoms, which include foggy thinking and memory issues. What does that mean? What is foggy thinking? How do you help teachers to understand that and how it manifests and what the disability might mean as far as need for services for the students? So, wow, here we are, our week 2 Fireside Chat. You've been doing a wonderful job. Keep posting, and let's have another good week. Thanks.